name is BenFlyingRetro, and I'm embarking on a quest to purchase every classic GI Joe comic from the original 80s and 90s Marvel run.
Warning.
Hunting down individual issues from every corner of the globe in whatever order the universe decides to give me. Join me and my pal Steve every week as we discuss my latest find. Welcome to Chasing Joe. Chasing Joe. Whoa! It is episode 5 of Chasing Joe. I'm BenFlyingRetro, joined by my good pal
Steve as Job 7.
Yes, because I can't do this alone. I'm not a madman. Well, I am a madman, but I'm not that crazy. I am collecting all 155 issues of the Marvel GI Joe era run. I can't believe it. We made it to episode 5, S-Jubs. Does that...
Only 182 to go.
Absolutely. But I feel like we're 5 episodes. We've got a core base now that are with us and are actually interested to see what the postman delivers to my house every week. Now, this is a special week. I've ventured outside of the sphere of eBay. So I bought my first 4 issues from eBay, and then I thought, okay, let's try and hunt for something a little bit tasty. Let's get a big one out of the way. Okay. Now, this has come all the way from the US of A, S-Jubs. And I got it from Etsy. Now, do you even know what Etsy is? I thought Etsy was like arts and crafts.
Arts and crafts, yeah. It's got that name.
I just thought it was like, I've made a little cushion. I'm going to sell the cushion. Etsy. Turns out, people appropriate these platforms and they just sell anything on there. So I went on, typed in GI Joe comics, and loads of stuff turned up. All US based though. So
would you say it's in close parity to the kind of hits you'd get on eBay, or less?
So
more?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I feel like people are selling bundles more on Etsy. But
interesting that it's got a different character to eBay.
Yeah, very much
in terms
so.
of what people are selling. Wow.
Feels more middle class. Right. Okay, let's get into this. So this is as is. This is how it came. I mean, he's popped it in some prime packaging right there. Now, I've got to be careful. Let's do this. How are we, buddy? Are we okay?
Taking another box cutter to this paper packaging.
You've got to be so
the chance
careful.
of slashing your book is pretty high.
I have done that before. I have. Yeah. I have.
Always cut away from you, Benjamin.
Yeah, for sure. I've just got back from a run. I am sweating like a T-Rex.
I bet you got the shakes too.
Yeah, I'm a little bit
The
shaky.
runner's high, baby.
At this age, you just get the runner's low.
Get that man hot chocolate.
Okay. You ain't gonna believe this.
It's G.I. Joe issue 1, baby!
I ticked off G.I. Joe issue 1 and S-Jubs. This thing is mint.
Ooh.
Mint. In an unusual way. So I got onto eBay. I was looking at eBay and I was like, okay, this is punchy. This is expensive. And they weren't great examples. Then... I mean, look, you're going to guess the price in a minute, but you're not going to believe it. So he was advertising that and like 2 other books, and he only had a photo of the covers. So I got a dialogue going, and I was like, can you show me the interiors? And he was like, honestly, these are insane. And I was like, wow, it was so good. I thought it was the facsimile. Anyway,
you don't want to be letting on that was your response, though. Did you play it
because,
cool?
dude, we were bantering. We were just a lovely dialogue, and that never happens with eBay. This is before I've even made a purchase. We're just chatting about Joe. Anyway, let's get to it. How much do you think I paid for this?
And are we setting our sights on dollary-doos, or are we staying with poundage?
Let's go. I mean, it was in dollars, but I haven't got the conversion.
So we're going to stay in dollars.
No, I'm saying pounds. I'm saying Earth Shackles.
Goodness
Republican credits.
Okay. Republican credits are no use out here. Well, it's gonna be up there, isn't it? Though Etsy, you said it was kind of middle class.
So I'll tell you what
Moderate your
I'm seeing it
expectations.
for on eBay. I mean, it's not the most expensive Joe book going, but it's up there. I was seeing it for like 8.
Don't say anything, Ben. This is a guessing game. I'm gonna say 15 quid.
You're saying £15?
1.5.
Oh, what? That seems. I mean, that's crazy low, isn't it? Issue 1.
Last week I was crazy high.
But what you've done that classic thing where you've gone lower than it actually is, and now it doesn't make it sound like I got such a good deal. Okay, look, I got this book for £25, and if you know comics and you know issue 1, that is ridiculous. And look, dude, I could have this graded. This would be like a CGC 9.
But Benjamin, are you not going to be pawing it with your grubby little mitts?
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
it's not going to be a CG 9 for long because I'm sweating. I'm going to be just taking. Yeah, that grade is going to be going down.
Well, good for you, buddy.
25
honestly,
£25, dude. I was willing to pay 80.
Wow.
It came from Pennsylvania.
Shows how much I know.
Lovely chap. And even he was like, look, I mean, I'm moving, I'm boxing everything up, everything's got to go. He knew that was a ridiculous deal. I couldn't believe it. So chuffed. And when it came, I mean, okay, let's get the snout in there.
The oldest GI Joe book.
Oh, it's like the swamps of Dagobah. I think Yoda's been in there.
Damn. So musky, moist.
Ooh. Oh my god, the condition is ridiculous.
Since you've got it up on screen,
okay,
let's do a little comparison.
Oh yeah, you got the facsimile right there, pal.
I have the Skybound Comics Group. They've matched the Marvel Comics Group banner. The font, the typeset is the same.
1st of March, 1982, with a June cover date, my good buddy. I mean, yeah, wow. I'm not, look, I don't really care too much about the condition, but seeing as it is so beautiful. Wow. Look at that. What an exciting cover. This is where it all began, S-Jubs.
Herb Trimpe and, was it Bob McLeod? Cover art.
Now this little dude, wait a minute. It's
Spidey.
It's not newsstand.
Right. Direct edition then.
I don't know where you stand on that. Do you want to be a barcode battler, or do you like Spidey on your books? I don't care.
I think Spidey looks cool, man. Certainly ages better than a barcode. But hey, I don't have a dog in the race.
Look, I've
got Image Comics in my corner box.
Yeah.
Yuck.
What a first experience with Etsy, though.
Would recommend.
Seriously,
5 out of 5.
Don't be sleeping, because I feel like you don't get double listing. I don't necessarily think you get people that list on Etsy and then they put a listing on eBay as well.
Yeah.
He did send me
separate and distinct.
Couple of other.
You are missing out though by not being on Facebook. I think Facebook Marketplace also offers some killer deals, and oftentimes within walking distance.
I can't do it, S-Jubs. I can't do it.
I could have
Facebook
walked
now.
to pick up my Terradrome.
Wow.
Just saying.
Yeah. Just stop soaping down your Terradrome. It's clean, S-Jubs. Right, I just got to open this because I'm so hot from running.
Oh, he's got a soda. What is it?
Well, it is a hip hop kombucha. Look, I only drink drinks that I dress to. So
nice. The man is rocking salmon.
Where does the can
salmon
end?
Shirt, salmon can. And a Hello Kitty bandana to top things off.
Well, let's get into it. I mean, look, S-Jubs, the Mobat.
Where does one begin?
Massive. The Mobat.
What's your history with issue 1? Did you read it before Talking Joe?
No. Yes,
okay.
yes, I did. Yes, I did. I read it digitally.
Mm-hmm.
I read a PDF. I don't know when, but yeah. So,
but this wasn't just in preparation for when you and Chief did it back in the day. This was...
No, that was in preparation for that.
Oh,
okay. We weren't doing anything. We were just two buddies. I was living in Australia, and we were just like, let's just read these books and just chat about them.
Right.
So that was. What about yourself?
I found that the Marvel trade paperback at the comic book store that Rob from GI Joburg works at. This is before he worked there. It was on Free Comic Book Day. It was marked down to 50 South African Rand, which is $2.50.
What? I'm still getting over that you thought I paid £15 for that book.
Wait, £2.50. Yeah,
okay.
£2.50 for the 1 to 10 of the Marvel run. And that's when I read it. That same day, I was like, wow, I'm finally getting a taste of G.I. Joe history.
Yeah. What's the comic book store called that he works in?
Reader's Den.
It's
been going strong since the late 90s. No, mid-90s. Anyway. Are we doing a summary? I finally remembered to do it at the top of the issue.
Dude, you go for that summary.
Okay, I'll go for it. So, G.I. Joe is tasked with rescuing Dr. Adele Burkhart from the clutches of Cobra Command. The so-called Lady Doomsday has unwittingly discovered a weapon that can annihilate all life on the planet. Woohoo! So it is vitally important that G.I. Joe are able to stop Cobra from interrogating her. And they can't just kill her, because that would create an international incident. So the only course of action is a successful rescue operation on what they call Cobra Island. It wasn't the Cobra Island we all know and love, but sort of a proto-Cobra Island. They encounter Cobra Commander and the Baroness, manage to secure Dr. Burkhart and escape, but Baroness and Cobra Commander get away. The end.
Fantastic. Well done, S-Jubs. Let's just get past the cover first. My notes, I've got, the Mobat looks huge. Beautifully drawn turret gives wild depth and perspective. It genuinely is a fantastically drawn cover, isn't it? It's amazing. It's really cool. The way he has drawn that tank is very clever. It's that is popping off the page. For 1982, I wasn't even one, S-Jubs, and you weren't even a being.
Nope, not even a twinkle in my mama's eye.
Yeah.
Interesting choice to make the Mobat blue. Very thickly Cobra color. But I suppose you need to get the OG green team looking good. It's interesting to me that Snake Eyes is absent on this cover. I guess they didn't know they had a hit in that character just yet.
I've written Green Army Men confusing. It's that generic
who is who?
Green Army Man. Like, the whole... Is it Flash and Grand Slam? They're the same fig, yeah?
Yes.
What? Like,
well, with a minor difference in the heads and the colorization. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I find that very confusing. Obviously, Stalker's got a little bit more dynamic camo going on, and Scarlet is obviously Scarlet. The rest, I find it very difficult flicking through these early issues. Like, crikey, who is who? Breaker, Clutch, you know. But they hadn't got the individualism happening. It became
a fun challenge for me to kind of work out the who's who in the zoo. Oftentimes you're looking at a crowd scene and you're like, okay, which one is Breaker? Which one? Because you have this checklist in your mind and you're constantly checking off like, okay, I've got these guys accounted for. That leaves these mystery green guys in the background could only be Short Fuse, Grand Slam, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now,
fun game.
I like this little bit at the bottom right, the ultimate weapon of democracy. And introducing America's sensational new Special Missions Force for the 80s.
Whoa.
I mean, that
now.
that gets me excited. Yeah.
Well, it's a bit text heavy, but it is an issue 1. You have to be able to tell a story just with the cover alone. It can't be too abstract. So I'm going to give it a pass.
Dude, for sure. Look, that's the first thing I've got written down here. I've got wordy book. Lot of higher ups chewing it up. Bubble City. Yeah, there's some talking in this book, S-Jubs.
It's not a quick read.
No.
If you intended to sit down and quickly get through it.
Sometimes when you're already so established in something, is it exciting to go back and find out the formation of it, or is it just like, come on, I know everything, let's just go? I
think the value of these early books is to see a different character of G.I. Joe.
Yes.
Before it became 6 Degrees of Separation from Snake Eyes, and a bit of soap opera, really. The idea of G.I. Joe being kind of a monster of the week kind of book, that they'd have this like briefing scene and they'd select the team that is most suited to the mission. Like that structure is very exciting.
Yeah.
It builds anticipation. You're not beholden to the previous book to know what's going on in this one. It's every mission, every issue is a fresh mission, a fresh take, and you kind of have this cool setting. The pit, for instance, terrific point of departure for every mission, and delicious cross section in the middle of the book. We'll get to that.
That is a delight. Now, if you're going to put your guessing hat on, when Larry sits down to write this issue, how many do you think realistically he thinks he's going to be writing of this book? Do you think he's going to, like, 12? 6?
I don't have to guess, Ben. He's on record saying that when he sat down to write issue 1, he thought it would be a one and done. He was like,
that is so fascinating. Do you think
it's a toy book? It's just to sell more plastic action figures.
Oh my God, that makes it even so much better, because I don't necessarily think it's... I mean, yes, it's self-contained-ish, but there's layers happening there, you know?
Well, I vowed to not get too reliant in this show on like previous knowledge and experience, rather let the book speak for itself. But you forced my hand, BenFlyingRetro, and once again, like I've got a bit of insight into this, and that's the fact that he had a lot of these ideas formed, but just had them attached to a different title. Larry, for a number of years, wanted to launch a comic book about Nick Fury's son.
Okay.
Entitled Fury Force.
Right.
And so I think he drew, initially at least, on a lot of those concepts when he was handed G.I. Joe. He was like, I got some stuff already, locked up in the old noodle.
Yeah. And you think he had a lot of creative freedom? Although, did he? No, because he's shifting toys, so...
I think in establishing his darlings...
What about the mythology?
He had ideas about how to keep these characters distinct by relating them to people that he had met in his real life. I think he knew a chopper pilot who he based Wild Bill on. He knew a guy who he based Stalker on, who actually also started working in comic books. I think they both served in Vietnam and both started working in comics afterwards.
Wow.
So he had these templates, these real-life templates to draw upon for just like the flavorings of these characters. And I'm sure Fury Force was probably responsible for the whole tie-in with the Arashikage, and like having a character who got training in the Far East. And that became Snake Eyes.
I've got written here a relatively realistic incursion onto the island with multiple units working together and a real-time clock ticking.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that an interesting structure kind of tool?
Very exciting. Yep. I mean, once again, Larry's quoted as saying, like, he used all his best ideas in issue 1, and when they approached him saying, it's a runaway hit, what have you got in store for issue 2? He was like, oh, shit. I guess I better come up with something.
And issue 2 could come out just the next month, yeah?
Ooh, Ooh, no, that's going outside my bounds.
Ooh,
I imagine so. So you have to quickly throw it together. But that's not the issue we're talking about today, Ben.
No. Look, for me, I like it just to end with Hawk. You know how I feel about going above Hawk, like politically. Right. I've never been that interested in going outside of G.I. Joe. Do you feel like there's value in it just to set up the fact that they're like a government-sanctioned unit? I guess they don't dwell on it for too long, and it's quite nice that you get that kind of they're going through the operatives, aren't they? And there's some dude in there called Shooter. I don't even know who he is. He's on the very end.
She, perhaps.
Oh, yeah. Shooter.
And
you almost get the feeling like they're assembling them specifically for this sort of task.
Like there are more Joes off that strip.
Exactly.
That, the original 13 isn't the entire G.I. Joe team.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, all of these ideas were floating around, and then what we got was what we got. It's interesting to look at this in hindsight.
But that's all we've got.
Ben, I mean, you're happy for it to stop with Hawk, but like some of the most interesting aspects of G.I. Joe are not necessarily its conflict with Cobra, but its conflict with the military-industrial complex of the United States. That G.I. Joe is often sent to do the dirty work of some other governmental department. So like General Austin, General Flagg, may be annoying in this instance, but like that was a plot avenue that was very fertile for the book.
Yeah.
And just allowed us to realize that, yes, we are reading a war book, but we're not celebrating warfare. We're cynical and skeptical and always questioning, like, why are we being sent to do this? Who stands to gain?
Okay, so introducing Cobra. I feel like he was kind of going for that fanatical thing. The troops are doing this business.
They've got this interesting, like, fist to the chest as part of the salute, which I suppose is deliberate to kind of
it feels like
steer clear.
Channeling that, sort of going that way, but then they sort of jettisoned that later on. This kind of the kind of...
If Red Skull was a disciple of the man who shall not be named, and Red Skull started Hydra, and Cobra is based upon Hydra, you can see the lineage. And all that iconography, like the massive pyres and the huge banners and the people on kettle drums and like horseback and like troops just standing at attention in the courtyard in the middle of the night.
The
with
car
tanks
that they drive out in as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Some sort of old Rolls Royce thing, or I don't know.
State car.
Yeah, it's strange.
Staff car, that's what it is. Yeah.
I suppose Cobra feels a little on the empty side comparatively to all of these individual G.I. Joe characters. I mean, obviously you've got Cobra Commander and you've got Baroness. But it feels like, okay, they've got some troops, but it's difficult to ascertain the size of that organization from this first issue.
Well, they say that the island has a full battalion of 1,200 men.
Yeah, wow.
G.I. Joe takes 13 and a tank.
What do they take? Yeah, what do they take? A tank?
Let's talk about it. It is so cool that they've managed to work in all the toys, save for... Can you guess which of the 1982 toy assortment was not... They didn't manage to feature in this book.
What's in there? The Mobat, the Vamp.
Mm-hmm. Present and accounted for. So Hawk came with the missile system, the SMS.
Right.
Yeah, the MMS, sorry.
Okay.
MMS. And also there was a stationary gun called the Flak, which... couldn't be towed, and obviously, where are they going to put that? Maybe they could have put that on the landing craft that the main assault force. Yeah, it would have been lovely if they just put a throwaway, just a little, just so that nerds like me can say, actually, every single toy was present and accounted for in the issue.
My God, I can't believe... I'm going to try and show you the interiors. The condition of this book is actually absurd. Like, it is mint. Wow. Now, I'm not going to find the page in here, but maybe you can bring it up. There's such a cool bit of, like, aerial tank fighting.
Oh,
like, aerial
yes.
tank combat shots. Absolutely.
Yeah, they do a bird's eye view, don't they?
It's so joyous. I feel that the art is just, it is popping. Maybe that's more the colorist, I don't know. Yeah,
I tell you what it does to
amazing.
me.
It almost looks like satellite kind of footage.
It's a very familiar sight if you've ever had like green army men and tanks. Like this is like GI Joe, Real American Heroes lineage. I mean, some say it's 12-inch Joe, but I say that because it's like the mortar guy, the infantryman, like these are the plastic army soldier like archetypes. You know, the guy with the radio, that's Hawk.
Yeah.
Like, so this top-down view of the tank battle with the infantry sort of creeping around in the bushes. It's all there. Oh my goodness. And it's all very toyetic.
Yeah, it's almost giving you ideas of how to play with these things. I mean,
how to construct some terrain. Look at that cool little like ambush they've set up with the hell. Like everything gets a little time to shine. Even if it's just one shot, the hell does get to blast a tank.
Dude, when he handed this book in, they were probably blown away. They were like, oh, geez. Like, you really gone to town.
Definitely understood the assignment and exceeded it. Oh, man.
Now, have you got anything more you'd like to say about the issue before we move on to the bonus of Hot Potato?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned all General Douche and General Austin because, like, on this most recent reread, that scene struck me very strangely as, like, the scripting gets so weird because who of the two of them, it is very confusing. Because who of the two of them is, like, G.I. Joe's...
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't work out if at one point they both didn't seem up for it, and then one did and one didn't, and I was like, okay.
And then by the end, they're both, like, slapping each other on the back, like, yes, that was a good idea. Yes, it is a good idea. I'm glad I'm on the same page as you. It is an as you know scene. It is a kind of it's a scene that both characters know exactly what's cutting, and they're just speaking their minds out loud for our benefit.
Yeah,
that's
they are
all it was.
Pen pushing, desk sucking, blotter jotters. That's
In your copy, the original copy, do they have what I assume is a colorist error? That on the initial page with General Flagg and General Austin, they're in an olive green, sort of emerald green, and then they switch to more khaki green.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like every time I touch this book, that grade is just going down.
You can't take it with you, Ben.
Of course you can't. I don't want to. I want to leave it behind.
No, dude. By the time you crawl into your casket, nothing should be left but...
Snake Eyes is probably the worst drawn character in this book, to be fair, dude.
Yes, and has a rather cringy moment where he just, like, waves his arms with, like, motion lines, and Scarlet is able to, like, read into that, this massive block of text.
Oh, Flash, Zap. I mean, great names. Seriously cool names. From a toy point of view, who of these dudes did you have? I mean, I'm assuming not
Zero.
That many. Yeah, zero.
This series could not reach me in good old deepest, darkest Africa, but I have remedied that. As of this year, I finally possess all of the original 13. Wow. They're swivel arm versions. Yeah, man. I can recreate the cover. Let's see.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Not with two hands, though.
Yeah.
They did put Snake Eyes on the artwork when they repurposed it for the accessory packs. So knowing that Snake Eyes was the most popular character by that point, I think he took Stalker's position, like down in front, right next to Scarlet.
Right, you got the facsimile there. I bought that. Now,
Okay.
what's it got on the last page? It's got an advert for... No.
My bad.
Not on the back page, the interior last page.
Yuck. Void Rivals.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious to see what...
I don't understand how that can work, because that means they've put an extra page in it. So what's on the other side of that?
Oh, so does the original not have any advertisements?
Well, yeah, it does, but I'm saying yours is a facsimile, so I don't understand how they've done the page count. Like, you've got write your own ticket. Oh.
Well, anytime there are
You're not... What, you
ads...
have this?
No, I wish.
What?
A Skybound...
It's not a facsimile.
No. Well, they can't reproduce ads for Marvel books. I can't imagine.
Oh, that just upsets me. I thought a facsimile, I honestly thought it was just literally a carbon copy. I thought that's what it was. Ads, letters, everything. So you're saying
we'd be remiss if we didn't then mention the fact that they made a change to Operation Lady Doomsday, which Larry always wanted.
Yeah.
Without his approval, editorial changed one of Hawk's lines.
Yeah.
Do you want to read what you've got there, Benjamin?
Where is it?
It would be when we've got a close-up of Hawk's eyes on a red background. Someone from the briefing says, "What is our job?" And Hawk responds by saying,
"We are soldiers. Our job is to follow orders, to do the impossible and make it look easy."
Right.
I read
Larry's original intent. Your Hawk is exceptional. Must be the blonde hair on your head. The original read as follows: "We're soldiers. Our job is to do the unthinkable and be forgotten." By the original, I mean the intended, the author's intent.
Yes, yeah.
Which is pretty dark stuff.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So they
it's not a glorious job, ours.
They did that in the facsimile without, needing approval.
No. I'm saying the copy, the 1982 book, changed Larry's script without his approval, and that's where you got that sort of more blunt and less dark read.
Yeah,
but they reinstated his original script in the Skybound reprint.
Oh, okay. I showed you the variant cover of the facsimile, and you weren't having any of that. The Cobra
I think the problem I have with it, and this is the one that resets the cover characters with Cobra characters and puts a his tag in it. The Cobra cover uses all the sort of Cobra hierarchy that didn't exist at the time. When, if you really wanted to turn me on as a fanboy, include this amazing Cobra, bald-headed Cobra dude. This guy.
Right. Okay, you want him on the cover, S-Jubs? Okay.
Yeah, instead of Major Blood and whoever else they picked.
Dude,
I can't remember the top of my head.
On the other side of that shot is one of the best panels in the whole book, where it's the profile of all the Cobra troopers kind of in some sort of a trench, and they're just waiting. Oh my days. He's looking through some binoculars or something.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Wow.
Right, let's get to Hot Potato, because look, you've just read issue 1, and then you've got an absolute treat on your hands. There's a whole other story in the back of this book. Different artist. Who we got?
Don Perlin, known for Moon Knight, among other things. Ghost Rider, one of the Marvel Comics dudes.
I tell you what, he is the only person I want to draw rock and roll. Wow! Again, it might be the colorist that needs the credit, but that is joyous. Oh, how cool is that?
Pretty damn.
Yeah, man. He looks fantastic. I absolutely love Hot Potato. What do you think about Hot Potato, S-Jubs?
I think I'll summarize it as follows. So Scarlet, Rock and Roll, and Snake Eyes are pinned down under siege, basically. Scarlet is injured. They've got enemies on all sides, but they've got some important intel, some data tapes that they need to get across the border. And Scarlet is in command. She tasks Rock and Roll with getting the tapes back to Hawk. And Snake Eyes is charged with making sure that Rock and Roll obeys the order. Rock and Roll does not like leaving a comrade in arms behind, but begrudgingly does it, swearing that he's going to take it out on Snake Eyes if they ever get back in one piece. Snake Eyes, unbeknownst to Rock and Roll, has turned back and goes to save Scarlet while Rock and Roll completes his objective. And then once he's done that, hops on the ram and busts everyone out of Dodge. And I think that's all I need to say about that.
It's a very exciting concept, sort of thing that you'd maybe play out with your action figures, you know, having a very simple MacGuffin, data tapes, stuff like that. I mean, it's called Hot Potato, but it could have been called Snake Eyes and Scarlet Massacre, because the bit that you are on is wild. It's just killing. They are just killing.
Yeah.
It is unreal.
Definitely some natural-born killers going down here, because they're equal parts killing and equal parts sort of being slightly romantic about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's the body count there? It's sizable. But
well, we open with an absolute massacre. Like, they're besieged, but they're surrounded by bodies.
Yeah, for sure. But I bet that they all sleep like babies, S-Jubs. They're well-versed.
Yeah, you can't really get into the ideas of PTSD amongst your plastic action figures.
No,
boy, oh boy. They've seen some shit, man.
Yeah, mine certainly have. I tell you what, dude, I like anything desert-based, S-Jubs. Arid,
Hang
desolate.
on. You like anything desert-based, anything snow-based, anything water-based?
Yes.
Is
I
specific
like stuff.
biome that you don't like, Ben?
I just like anything that's out of my wheelhouse, I suppose. But, you know, desert, the closest thing I can get to the desert is going to the beach and using, you know, sand. I just feel like it's just a very exciting environment from a child's point of view, playing with their toys, putting them in these kind of exotic environments. And it does really work well, having read the story that you've just read, and then you switch to Hot Potato, and it's like, oh, these guys, you know, they're versatile. Look, here they are on some other skirmish. Did this happen before, after? You don't know. It doesn't really matter. I don't know.
And it's not a story that you need to squash every single member of the team into the book.
No.
It's a smaller focus. Yeah. Giving your key characters a little bit more time to shine, letting the background guys stay in the background.
But also a sign of things to come.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, if you doubted that Larry had at least some inclination about Snake Eyes and Scarlet from the off, this issue will clearly contradict that.
I wonder if Hot Potato is actually the thing that is selling this as an ongoing, because it is just a nice little vignette at the end of like, oh, by the way, we can just do stuff like this with, you know, very low page count comparatively, but really fun. You don't need you don't need everyone in there. Simple. And it's like, this is an idea of how we could do issues going forward. Yeah.
Hadn't thought of it like that, but absolutely.
Well, like more like special missions, I suppose.
I was going to say, but isn't the entire issue 1 also a special mission?
Yeah, no, it totally is. Because
self-contained, high stakes, but also like, that's it. One and done.
Yeah. Well, look, whilst I was reading Hot Potato and I was just like loving these desert shots, it got me thinking. And I was like, hang on, something's coming back. And it was Action Force Annual 1989, Havoc in the Outback. It's a... No! You mother! I've ordered it.
I have it, mate.
Oh, dude, it's a text story. It's a prose story. And at the time...
With some killer art.
Oh, dude, when they dropped the Havoc off, and you got Dusty in there.
Now, I have this courtesy of friend of the show, Jim Godfrey.
Wow.
But what an absolute joy. What an institution. The Annual.
Oh.
I mean, if you weren't English or English adjacent, you would not know the joy of, like,
dude, it wasn't
a
Christmas
boys'
without
annual.
One. It was not Christmas without one. And I get the Transformers ones for Scout, and I just love on the first page. You might have it in that one. It's got, like, 2 whoever. Oh.
A double-page splash by, I think it's a Jeff Senior.
Yeah, they've all got amazing double-page splashes, even the Transformers ones. There's the one that we've got has got Dinobots. Oh, and it is the most stunning art. I'm obsessed.
But I've blown us off course. You wanted to talk about Havoc in the Outback.
Yeah, because reading Hot Potato made me think of it, and I was like, I need that in my life. But reading a text-based Joe story back then felt so immersive compared to
Grown Up.
Sumbo, like watching the cartoon. And even though now it's probably not actually that long, what is it? Probably like 5-6 pages. It felt like a novel to me, and the detail and the kind of how they set it all up, just dropped in the middle of nowhere, and then Outback rocks up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's a base 100 miles away. We're gonna have to get there." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Look, no other GI Joe or Action Force media will you find 3 paragraphs dedicated to describing the Havoc.
Yes.
So the amount of detail you get in a text story.
And the way it's drawn is the toy. You know, that it's just, if you're sat there with the Havoc next to you and you're reading that.
You can see Dusty and Beachhead's footsies in the back. They're definitely lying down in that Havoc cab. It's hilarious.
It's incredible. I mean, they are doing some yoga poses on that lower back. Wow.
It reminds me of a Tintin story. Did you ever read Destination Moon?
Yeah, that's going to be another podcast we're going to do. Tintin.
Let's please. But the way those mothers sit or lie in sort of the weird position.
Yeah,
like,
but they're faithful to that.
They commit to the bit, definitely. Wow.
Now, I'm familiar with the annual before that one.
Okay.
I think it's got Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow on the front. I don't know how many they did. But No Christmas, I mean, when that came, just poured over it. I mean, is there anything you'd probably know? I'm sure there's probably quite a lot of fan fiction, I imagine. Is there, of G.I. Joe?
Fan fiction, Dio stories. I'm more familiar with Dio stories than straight up prose. But yeah, fan fiction. Look, G.I. Joe had a big boom and bust.
Yeah.
Because for a time, Kindle Worlds allowed fanfic writers to publish their stuff based on the G.I. Joe IP and other IPs on Kindle.
Okay, wow.
Like, you could purchase a fanfic and read it on your Kindle.
That's cool.
They ain't doing that no more. But I had written something, I'd never published it, but then it closed.
Rebought Scout all of the Transformers books I used to have, the Ladybird books.
Cool.
But I don't remember G.I. Joe having any of those. I could be wrong. I don't think they did.
What were they? Gold. I've got one.
Because the Transformers ones are amazing. I used to have them with a tape, and they were readable books. But they
Transformers, He-Man, and the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find this book.
Go out the back. Now, viewers, whilst S-Jubs is going there, I've actually got something else to open. I've got another package to open. Now, I'm going to do it at the end of the show, but there's a surprise in here, S-Jubs. I've got another package to open. What have you got? What have you brought to the table?
talking storybook.
Yes, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Kids Stuff was the
Oh, you see, I'm not familiar
publisher
with them at all.
Kids Stuff Records and Tapes. This is from the United States. This is also courtesy of a friend of the show, Tim Wilde. Thank you, Tim.
What's the sound to turn the page?
Put a note saying, for Elliot. I don't have the tape, sadly, but I mean, the illustrations are a delight.
Yeah. Wow.
Kind of basic, but they look painted. Just lovely stuff.
Really cool. Well, I've never seen that before. That's interesting.
So they definitely did stuff like this for GI Joe.
Gun ho! Now, as we're sort of winding up, I've gone and done something, S-Jubs.
Naughty boy.
I have bought a little memento to toast this show and the journey that we are on. Something that I can have and pass down. I'm going to open it. Here we go. This is exciting. This came yesterday. Okay. This has also come from the US. Okay, we're going to do the reveal. There we go. I have bought a CGC 9.8 of issue 63, Mike Zeck cover, as a little memento to this show. This was the first show that we did. Now look, S-Jubs, I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but I've got the book, I've got the floppy, so I can go through it any time. Look at that. That's going on the wall, S-Jubs.
It's pretty on the slab.
It's beautiful.
And I stand by my statement that it is a hell of a cover.
Yeah.
Top 10 for me.
I saw it and I thought, this is going to be nice. Because I've always wanted a CGC slab of a Joe book, but this one now has extra meaning where once it didn't. So, yeah, little treat for myself.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Hey.
I mean, it is beautiful.
Congratulations all around.
Yeah.
It's a celebration of chasing Joe.
It really is. Look, I'm surrounded by Joe books. I'm not going to lie, it's getting confusing. They're coming daily. But
I think we were joking off air about the high likelihood of us reading a certain issue in preparation for the show, and then come showtime, you produce a book.
So look,
that ain't that book.
Let me take you behind the curtain. I have to check these books when they turn up. I have to open them. 2 reasons. I need to read them, but mainly I need to check that the right book is been posted to me, because these sellers on eBay, some of them have 15,000 listings. So I've got you could have put anything in there. It could be a Hulk book. So, and also I don't want to read them digitally, and then I have to open them. But look, I tell you what, I don't know. The next time I'm not going to be opening this one again for a while, because that is precious. Wow. £15, S-Jubs.
What do I know?
It turns out not much. I don't.
I know plastic. Stick with the toys,
plastic.
Thanks. And that will always be a feature of this show. The toys on page.
Oh, for sure. But people watching, they will understand that £25 for that is absurd. What a deal.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I ain't going to get that lucky again. No 2 ways about it. But look, I think
on the way out, anything else you'd like to add about issue 1?
I can add that it's not my go-to reread book, for sure, from ARA. I would actually say I got a lot more enjoyment out of Hot Potato.
Right. Well, case in point, the thing that strikes me now is that the RAM is not colored green. They went with silver. Hey?
Yeah, why do you think they made that creative decision?
Because maybe a green vehicle doesn't make any sense in the desert, but then again, you've got the Vamp, and that's colored green.
Are you saying when this came out to buy, the toys were out to buy also? I mean, that makes sense.
Yes, the toys were available. Look, I just think it's a lovely coincidence. We're seeing a precursor to the Silver Mirage almost.
Yeah, for sure.
I do like that. That's cool.
Yeah. What about yourself? Is this a go-to book for you to reread and get some enjoyment out of, or is it more history and hindsight, and it's just interesting to look at how it all started?
If you're doing a reread of the series, you cannot miss issue 1 of the first 10. I think it's my most reread issue just for that fact alone.
Yeah.
But the bonuses also speak for themselves. I mean, like, hello, the cross-section of the pit.
That's great.
This is the greatest.
I love
oh, my word.
I used to like cross-section books in general. I didn't have a G.I. Joe-centric one, but I had all of the Star Wars ones, you know? There was just...
And who among us did not see this cross-section and immediately want to recreate it somehow?
Yeah.
Whether it was in a cupboard or a chest of drawers, or if you actually were industrious enough to build something to recreate these levels. Hey, there's a section called, on the 5th level, the 5th basement, called Classified. And adjacent to that, there's a section called Top Secret. What's in there?
Oh, I know. It's the sort of thing that as a kid, it stokes and fuels the imagination like crazy.
This book came out of its mama fully formed with a full Bombay. Like, this issue wasn't dialed in. This was big stuff.
Yeah. Well, what an amazing opportunity, though, that, you know, fell onto his lap. You got to grasp it, because this is above and beyond, isn't it? Look at it. Yeah. There's just something about giving kids that extra
world building
depth. Yeah, the depth. And I just remember having
run out and buy those toys, man,
and just being obsessed with like the stats as well that went with them. You know, with Star Wars, it was always how big the ships were and the kind of numbers of how many people you could pack in there, but there's just definitely value to respect your audience, kids, and that they want that kind of stuff. They love the detail.
The suspension of disbelief, yeah.
You know?
It's not a plastic toy. It is a realistic recreation of a fighting vehicle.
But it's, and what you can do with it is limitless, you know?
Listen to this.
When I say limitless, I
mean... That is the sound of a 42-year-old battery-operated toy.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the Mobat, that no one had that. No one. You know, it was Mauler City when I was into it. When did you get your first Mobat?
Mobat must have been probably off the back of getting this trade and reading the OG 13 in action again. So it would have been, I'm going to say, the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
As late as that.
Yeah. I think that's what strikes me of, you know, it's...
Oh, God, later. Sorry, 2011 or 12.
So much came before, you know, I got into it. And anything that you missed, it might as well not have existed, because you were never getting a Mobat. Like, that was just not happening. But yeah. Well, do you think we've covered issue 1 enough? I think we've done a pretty good job, S-Jubs. Just going to have a sip of my hip pop.
It's the kind of issue that you can never say enough about. But
it's great to get... It's almost like, after picking up 4 relatively simple books on eBay, I was like, I got to get issue 1 at some point. Let's just get it done early, because I expected to pay, I don't know, like 80 quid, £100 for it. So
go Etsy.
Nice.
Look, every time I read it, something new percolates to the surface. I'm just grateful for another opportunity to read it. I decided to take this book with me. I went to watch Joker for Le Deux last night. Okay. And immediately afterwards had the palate cleanser of G.I. Joe issue 1 and a pint of Guinness. And that was...
Goodness, that's nice.
That turned an otherwise mediocre night into a very good night.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, Guys, I think we've done about enough for episode 5 of Chasing Joe. If you want to follow me, head on over to Instagram, BenFlyingRetro. If you want to listen, if you can stomach more of me, I've got a weekly podcast called People Who Play, available on Substack. Head over there. Where can the good people find you, S-Jubs? I guess they can find you right here.
This is it, baby. GI Joburg on YouTube.
Are you guys still you're alternating between, you're doing a classic vehicle or fig, and then you're doing the main show?
Yeah, our main show typically focuses on GI Joe media, all the stuff that's kind of the hot topic. I think our next show will be, it'll actually be, when this drops, it'll be the previous show. Mm-hmm. We will have done an episode addressing the new Super 7 O-ring GI Joe Reaction Plus figures.
Wow.
What that's all about.
Okay.
I am most certainly interested. It's the most interesting thing a GI Joe toy collector like myself has to look forward to these days. It's
wow. So that's the flagship.
Exciting times.
We're a side quest. We're a Zelda side quest or a special missions. That's what this show is.
A palate cleanser that makes a mediocre channel a very good channel.
Okay, guys. Well, look, everyone, tune in for episode 6 to find out what the postman has brought me that week. But until then, see you later.
Yo, Joe.